Hi there and welcome back to Japan and to our reaction and review of RAITEI by Nemophila. As always, this is the review video. If you want to see the reaction that I just did, pause this video, click the little link in the description below, clearly labelled. It'll open a separate little YouTube player where you can see the song if you haven't heard it before and watch me reacting to it at the same time. So I'll be talking over the song, but you know, you'll get the feeling for it. Anyway, so if you want to do that before you listen to me review it, which I'm about to do, then check that out now. Are you ready? Have you heard the song before? Are you ready for the review? Have you watched the reaction and now you're ready for the review? Have you just unpaused it and you just wish I'd just get on with the review? That's what I'm going to do. That's how I didn't warn you. Okay, so this one was really interesting in that it went in a direction. Okay, I didn't know what to expect when I jumped into this, but I guess I could have probably guessed. It was kind of going in that sort of hard rock with certain metal influences. It was going in that direction. However, like I said, I think this exceeded a lot of my expectations that I would have had after the first couple of bars where I got the feeling for where it was going. Because there are some bands who do this kind of thing. And usually they're fantastic musicians, but often it's kind of... usually you have, great musicians, almost as much of the time great singers when it comes to a Japanese iteration to these kinds of bands, but often it tends to be backed up with slightly uninspiring writing, if I've got to be honest. It's just kind of, it's heavy, so isn't that great? Oh, it's really well played, isn't that great? But you tend to find that the writing can be a little bit uninspired. This was actually, I gotta admit, I was really impressed at how much of an all-round package this actually turned out to be. We're always honest on this channel and say, it's tell it as it is. And I must admit that when I listened to this, I felt like there was some real good quality writing in there. It felt like the okay, so it comes in with your sort of normal hooked in riff, which is nothing particularly spectacular or interesting going on there. It's just basically enough to show you that okay, we're going to go in this direction and power in with the energy, and that's what you want. You want that energy to bring you in from the beginning. You don't need to be wowed by the writing at first. You just need to be convinced to keep on listening, and a good powerful intro is a good way to do that. But one thing that really came across was just how well the drummer was playing. The drum work was fantastic. Again, maybe not sort of one of those things where you go, wow, she's the greatest drummer ever, but something where you just listen to it and you go, I can really feel there's a lot of work going into like really accenting everything, even just in the beginning here. And she went on to do some nice little flips of the rhythm and everything as the song went on as well. I'd also say credit as well to the person who mixed it. Often this type of music is very compressed. This was a little bit compressed on the guitars, but that's normal. But often the compression on this type of music usually detracts from being able to hear the delicacy of the drum work. And even in that sort of heavy smashing drum work, you get some real sort of cool delicacy in some of the fills and things. This, I really felt that you could hear the drum work nicely, which also helped both her and the whole song. And then when it gets into the verse, I was really surprised by just that sort of low register, very sort of soulful singing style from the vocalist. And I loved how as the song went on, she built up on that and she expanded on that and she went into much more powerful, slightly high register notes, never sort of super high or anything. You can tell that's not what they're going for, but it was more of the just the fact that she covered a wide range and she used that in the way that the vocal performance was to sort of build things up. Start low, start brooding, and build up towards those big, more powerful notes at the end. Really enjoyed the way that worked, the way that everything built around the vocals as they went on. There was great stuff in the, the guitar work was, except for the solos, which we'll get onto a little bit later as always, the guitar work was fairly simple, straightforward, but it was well written in that it wasn't all just one thing or another. It went from riffing to then a chord pattern in the chorus, which was simple, but really nice for building everything up. The chorus really felt like it was, it had that quality of well, I guess I was thinking, the riffs are just there for energy and drive, and when that came in, it came in the right place and gave the energy and drive. And then the sort of chord work in the chorus was nicely written in a way that it was building up the song. It was writing in a more traditional song structure way to give a grandiose, to give a bigger crescendo-y sort of sound every time the chorus came round, and so it worked. The verses were sort of nicely brooding, the riff had a lot of energy and drive, and the choruses had an anthemic quality to them, even if it wasn't exactly what you call a catchy chorus. I mean, right now, I've got to admit, having just heard the song, I can't exactly say the chorus is stuck in my head. I can't remember exactly how it went, but, I get the energy stuck with me more than the exact chorus. It's not exactly a sing-along, catchy chorus or anything like that, but it worked in terms of paying off the song, you know, it pays off the verses every time it came around. Also, big credit that had those sort of nice, cool and answer shout back bits. I love the way the backing vocals worked in this. That was very sort of old school hard rock, but it just kind of worked nicely. It gave a sort of powerful energy. Also, when you have backing vocals, you know, I mean, you can all see in the band, you can see how many members there are, but just something about when you get all the other members shouting or singing something in the background, it makes a band feel bigger. It makes it feel more involved. It makes what otherwise would be a solo sounding performance sound like a party. There's something about hearing multiple voices on a track that really does work in making it feel like something bigger. So I like the way they implemented that. There was just a good quality to how most of the song was dealt with. Now, the solos were absolutely brilliantly played. I mean, just maddening just how well they did that. I mean, that's what happens when you've got a really good quality guitar and someone who knows how to use it. And, you know, the guitar work all around was fantastic here. I must admit, though, that I did think that the bridge was a bit of a missed opportunity, which kind of came out in the fact that if you listen to the last few chords in the backing of it, I did say during the reaction, I thought that the problem was that there was not enough interesting things going on behind the riff. Sorry, the solo. It didn't really feel like the song was changing in a way that accented the fact they were in there. It was just kind of like, it was almost like a third verse in just the way it goes round. So that I always have an issue with those types of solos, where if you're going to do something twiddly, then the backing needs to do some movement to shift the mood underneath it. I'm not saying you don't. I mean, I know they were trying to keep the drive going. They're trying to keep it driving, but there are other ways of doing that rather than just sort of going back to repeating that backing. And you know, that, like I said, that was proved by the last few bars of that solo, where they built it up and you had the chord pattern move and built up and threw it into the last chorus. That was great. That whole last bit of the bridge really felt like, okay, we're going somewhere. You felt energized, but the first half of, you know, where it was just the soloing, I didn't feel energized by it. And I'm not putting that against the guitarists who were doing the solos. That was great, but the backing needed to carry it somehow. I mean, you could do simple things, you know, you could do something like, you know, speeding up the strumming, you know, double timing the strumming, or you could do something the opposite. You could turn to like some more staccato stabs with the guitars. You could use, you know, just lots of things, yeah, variation between some sort of picking, or you could actually flip up the whole rhythm if you want to be brave about it. You could flip up the rhythm in the background. Yeah, you know, there was a lot of things. You go heavier half time, like I say, you could go crazy double time. There's just so many ways that you could do it in really simple techniques that would make it more interesting than just carrying on with more of the same. And I do get that some people are going to say, oh, they like that it does that. It's just, for me personally, I think by the time you get to the bridge, it's like you've heard what the song's about. You've heard the riff a few times. You've heard how it works. I mean, you heard how crazy they went right at the end, you know, the last few bars of the song. They could have been, if they'd been that playful in the bridge, either going heavier or lighter or just any form of change, I think it would have really helped. So yeah, the bridge to me didn't really do a lot until the last few bars, when it went from sort of, oh, okay, to, oh, there we go. Suddenly it now feels energized. Just a couple of bars to throw you into the last chorus. Again, great last chorus, brilliant vocal performance in there as well. Just the whole thing wrapped up nicely, and there was a really, like I say, fun, playful ending. The way that everything sort of goes really sort of hardcore right at the end. This was, like I say, this was a song that to me played on a lot of tropes of this kind of hard rock genre. It was written in a very sort of Japanese way. A lot about the melody felt like a very sort of Japanese style melody. You know, contemporary Japanese style melody reminded me a lot of those sorts of melodies you would hear in things like, you know, again, I'm not an anime person, but, you know, anime theme tunes. We all heard a lot of anime theme tunes. Kind of had that sort of feel to the melody. Sort of more expressive and dramatic than necessarily catchy. It had that really cool quality of being both, like I say, exemplary example of hard rock and also that Japanese contemporary style of writing. It really nailed a lot of things that other lesser bands perhaps don't get quite as right in this genre. And it was great in so many ways. I do, however, feel, like I say, I think they have the ability and the writing skill as well to do something more adventurous with their bridges. I did say this a few times over about RAITEI. And RAITEI are not the same, but they're of a similar sort of style. So, you know, I think there seems to be a lack as a general in this kind of genre, this subgenre, or whatever you want to call it, this sort of style of hard rock, there seems to be a certain laziness in bridge writing where, you know, an amazing solo is considered enough, where it's like you can do an amazing solo and still write something interesting underneath it. So like I say, take out that little bit which I had issue with. The song otherwise was really exemplary. I thought it was a great introduction. I certainly look forward to hearing more of them. I hope that they use this skill to have a nice varied ability as well. I hope they can go maybe a little bit heavier in places and a little bit more light and do other things as well. I hope they can flip up the style, because there seems to be a lot of talent on display. But as always, you guys know how this works. I don't pre-research, so now it's over to you guys to, in the comments, even if you don't know the group, feel free to tell me your opinions as well, because your opinion is just as relevant as anyone else's. If you do know the group, though, tell me more about the song, tell me more about what I should listen to next, tell me a little bit more, fill in the gaps of things that I maybe didn't know, maybe things I misunderstood by just not knowing them very well. Please don't just tell me to listen to live music. If you've been on my channel, you know why I leave live music to one side until much later. It's not, in my opinion, a proper way to... I know this is one of those groups where everyone's going to say, oh, you should check them out live. Studio live, maybe. But I'm trying to listen to the recorded stuff because I want to hear what they do when they've had time to sit down, work on it, and decide how they want to sound. So yeah, give me some suggestions for other songs by them that I should check out. Feel free to do all the usual stuff, liking, subscribing, YouTube-y stuff. Social media stuff is all our other social medias linked in the description below, where our community is always active talking about Japanese and other music as well. So please get involved there as well. It's a great place to be. A big thank you to everyone on our Patreon for keeping this whole thing alive, keeping us running. It is greatly appreciated. And of course, massive thank you to you for making it through to the end of this waffly video. So until I hopefully see you soon in Japan for the next one of these, for now, thank you again, and ciao ciao.